Well, speaking of our vaccination program, whether fast enough or not, it is the fastest in the world. And the world is taking notice, as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is again pointing out on social media.
We've seen the incredible speed and efficiency of Israel's vaccination drive, which is on track to vaccinate all over 16s by the end of March. So what discussions has my honourable friend had with his Israeli counterpart on replicating Israel's success, particularly in the areas of digitisation and accessibility?
I commend the Israeli government and the Israeli health service for a stellar job in vaccinating the most vulnerable communities, and we have a lot to learn from other countries, including the throughput, the speed at which they manage to vaccinate.
High praises from the UK, among other nations, looking at Israel for lessons in fighting the coronavirus pandemic, with Israel now having vaccinated at least 22.3% of the population in just about 3 weeks' time. But so what's the answer to the MP's query? How, in fact, did Israel get its vaccine campaign to work so quickly? Well, one factor was population size and density. For Israel, 20% of the population translates to about 2 million people, the majority of whom live in big cities and across an area about the size of New Jersey. This means that the percent vaccinated rises much faster relative to larger countries, and that it's cheaper and faster to deliver the vaccines to where they need to go without letting them spoil by temperatures above minus 70 degrees Celsius. Still, that's far from the whole story, too. Israel innovatively divided the vaccine shipments into smaller, more manageable sizes to deliver only what was necessary to each community and cut down on potential spoilage. As for administration of the doses, Israel's existing healthcare infrastructure played a very large role. Every Israeli must choose to be a member of one of 4 not-for-profit health insurance HMOs. And these same HMOs, rather than the government, are primarily in charge of organizing and personally contacting at-risk populations in order of priority.
אנחנו מקדימים את כל העולם בחיסונים, עם מיליוני החיסונים שהבאנו, וקופות החולים והמערך הרפואי שלנו עושים עבודה הירואית, שכרגע תגיע, אני מקווה עד מחר, מחרתיים לכל יותר, ל-170,000 חיסונים ביום שיא עולמי. אבל באותה עת אנחנו נלחמים גם בהתפשטות המחלה שהגיעה כבר ל10,000 חולים מאומתים ביום. זה קצב גדול מאוד.
But finally, Israel led the world in yet 2 other challenges. First, changing the attitude of the public away from skepticism and fear with an aggressive online and community-based information campaign. And second, simply receiving large stocks of the vaccinations through a number of partnerships and agreements with Pfizer-BioNTech and Moderna. Reports showing that Israel paid upwards of $20 more per person for the vaccines to ensure their priority delivery, while promising, at least to Pfizer, to provide the company with access to medical data and information about those who get the vaccine, essentially turning Israel into a testing ground for developing future vaccine strategies.